For businesses looking past the COVID recovery and in particular for businesses that are seeking out appropriate solutions for cash flow, what's the real price point difference between a working capital solution as opposed to a short-term business loan, i.e. how much will customers save by using a true working capital facility versus a short-term interest and principal style loan?
I want to answer that question in a couple of different ways, or from a few different perspectives. So obviously covering off the different products is quite an essential part of answering that question. So traditionally what we do when we meet a customer who has a cash flow problem is we look to the receivables. So we want to see what they've got in money owed, so debtors. That's probably the quickest way of repairing cash flow, but there are alternatives as well, and then I'll enter into that part of the question that you've asked. Capital raising against equipment is a big one too. Fortunately for Australian businesses, they've got a lot of equipment that's unencumbered, and also with property now, the way it's going, although we don't specialise in property, you see property growth, customers can always lean on property for equity, which is a big part of why mortgage brokers are saying they're so busy, I assume. But, traditionally, capital raising against equipment is what we look at as a second. And then, you've got short-term debt solutions, which is what you're alluding to there in that question. Short-term debt solutions might be a quick capital fix for some business that's experiencing direct distress. It may not always be the best solution because those are highly amortised payments, principal and interest. Some of them interest a little bit higher, but even if you're looking at the products as like for like, if the interest components are the same, if you've got a loan for 36 months, which is principal and interest, and that payment's about $2,200 over 36 months, whereas opposed to invoice factoring or debtor finance, whatever term you want to use or whichever product, you're roughly paying for 100,000. That's the number. Sorry, for 100,000, you're paying about $1,300 or $1,500 a month. So there's an extra $800 on the table for cash flow, which can be quite essential to a business. That's extra $800 worth of stock, probably translates to another 30 grand on the bottom line somewhere. So that's probably the easiest way to answer the question.
Yep, and the theme that is there again, cash flow. Just manage your cash flow.
Yeah, well, cash flow facility is good too because it allows the business to not only use that or those invoices as a line of credit, so they get access to that money straight away. So if there's $1 million debtor ledger, for example, they can gain 800 grand to use inside the business. So the immediate working capital issues resolved. They can use that capital then to grow the business out of the facility if they don't want to rely on it permanently. Whereas generally that principal and interest product, the payments are so highly amortised, they've got to pay the loan back so quickly that generally what they're doing is 12 months later they're going back to draw down on that loan again. So they can never really address the issue.
And they can act quickly.
That's right. Products like Scottish Pacific, you've got the ability of being able to read your ledger. They also help you manage that process, so you've got some form of accountability in the process of when you're using the cash flow. You've got someone there that you can rely on for a conversation, so if it's not working, they'll be able to facilitate a way or means to make that product work, where a short-term finance solution, they'll lend you the money, that they're very rarely going to lend you the money halfway through again.